Hello and welcome back. This is the second half of the chapter, the chapter summary on developing a winning attitude. And the last time we talked about the importance of attitude in one's success and how it can affect you positively or negatively depending upon how you apply it. I shared with you how my attitude toward the business school that I owned affected me, but also the lessons that I learned from the interaction with those institutions that purchased our services at the time. Now, I'm going to continue, but this time I'm going to give you concrete examples or strategies as to how you can get there, how you can really develop a better attitude. So to further explain how a great attitude produces great results, now let me take you back years ago to my home country. It's a British colonized country called Sierra Leone, particularly to my hometown of Port Loko, where I was a young man growing up. My friends and I used to go to the Ministry of Works building to see if there were any odds and end jobs we can earn, that we could do to earn a few dollars. And this ministry was the government department which was responsible for road construction and maintenance. That is the equivalent of the state highway department here in America. Back then, this department hired more employees than any other department in the government. Now, here is what I want to talk about. On payday in this country was once a month, and as in most British colonized countries. I believe it still is today. But here I want to talk about the credit system in Sierra Leone. Much like in other less developed nations, was not as sophisticated or as developed as ours here in the West. In the US, for example, when a creditor extends credit to you, you almost never come face to face with them, with that creditor. And for the most part, creditors do not expect people to pay the full amount of their debt all at once. In fact, nowadays, banks with physical structures in your community and not the sole providers of credit to the public anyway. So one can easily obtain credit from institutions that one has never heard of here in America. We can do that. But this is different from what takes place in less developed nations like Sierra Leone, where if you owe someone money, the creditors will literally come to the doorstep of your workplace and wait for the foreman, for your supervisor, to read your name out loud from an envelope containing your cash. Back then, there was no such thing as direct bank deposits for employees in Sierra Leone. So that creditors expect you to pay back the entire amount of the loan plus the interest on payday. So it's not like here. So I used to see fights erupt between creditors and debtors simply because debtors didn't have enough money to repay the entire debt. But what was interesting about this one particular creditor was that who was really very successful at lending money to workers was the way in which he carried himself and conducted business. He was always respectful of the workers at MOW, Ministry of Works, greeting them, smiling, and showing genuine concern for the well-being of everyone he met. And early on payday, for example, we find this man sitting under his work table to the far right corner of the Ministry of Works entrance under a tree. And there he would wait patiently for workers to come and make restitution. In contrast to other creditors, you would not find Pa Almami in any altercation with debtor employees. He constantly negotiated, cut deals, and made compromises such as deferred loan payments with workers who were unable to make full payment of their debts. Even when you knew he was making money, a lot of money from you, you were still happy to do business with this man. Pa Almami wrote off some loans where he thought he had to, especially where workers lost their jobs. In retrospect, I can understand why this man was very successful. His attitude typified success. His attitude was remarkable. He never frowned at any debtor. He had an attitude toward workers that was amiable to everyone. As a result, his business grew tremendously. And magistrates, attorneys, and other dignitaries that came to Port Loko spent time at his pub. In the end, Pa Almami and his family had the finer things that life had to offer. While many of us worked to school, his children were chauffeured in nice cars. It was his attitude more than anything else that made this man so successful at what he did. Now, the question is, if attitude is so pivotal to success in life, how then can one develop a winning attitude? And Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, said, "Nothing can stop the man with the right mental attitude from achieving his goal. Nothing on earth can help the man with the wrong mental attitude." And there you have it. So, just what are these winning attitudes that enable some to succeed tremendously while others continue to fail at what they do? Well, the answer lies in two approaches to attitude: endogenous and exogenous. Endogenous attitudes are behaviors which have to do with attitudes toward yourself, as well as the values upon which your life is grounded. A little introspection will help you clarify this principle. Question: do you feel worthwhile and love yourself unconditionally? Do you respect yourself? Do you have confidence in the way you feel and think to the extent that you're able to respond to challenges and opportunities more resourcefully and more appropriately? Are you generally a happy person? Are you a happy person? If your answers are yes to these questions, then you are someone who has a positive mental attitude, a winning attitude. You've got that winning attitude. On the other hand, though, exogenous influences of one's attitude refer to the way we interact with the environmental factors in order to bring about a happy and more fulfilling life. It's all about the way we treat others and the way we allow others to treat us. Talking to your employer about the way work should be done and negotiating a business contract with the sales director of another company are examples of exogenous factors which can affect your career and ultimately your success. Also, if you are the pastor of a church, how you preach, the topics you preach about, are conduits which can reveal your attitude, hence the growth of your church membership, as well as your overall personal success. A pastor can reach more people in the audience if he or she can appeal to their emotions, and if the pastor can skillfully use the Word of God to help them navigate the daily struggles of life. Because that's what really people want to know. How do I make it through tomorrow? I have seen congregants relinquish their membership, their church membership, simply because they felt the pastor was condescending. Now, how do you know you're on track with these things? Ask yourself the question. Do I always consider other people's feelings in my daily judgments of them? When someone suffers setback, do I stop to show empathy or support? Or am I so headstrong on my personal pursuits that it matters little to me as to who gets hurt along the way? These are some important questions that will help you understand your attitude about things and about life in general. Okay, I think this is a great place to stop, and we'll pick back up from where we leave off. Until then, I'll see you next time.